I walked for a long time without knowing exactly where I was going, not because I had no destination, but because somewhere along the way I had stopped believing that the destination mattered. The road stretched longer than it should have, too quiet, too empty, the kind of silence that doesn't bring peace, only questions. Every step felt heavier than the one before it, not because the ground was steep, but because my heart carried things my body could no longer hide. Regret has weight. Unspoken grief has weight, and disappointment, especially the quiet kind, settles deep in the chest like a stone you learn to live with. The shadows followed me. At first I thought they were just part of the road, the natural result of walking late, of staying too long in places where the light no longer reached, but over time they began to feel familiar, almost comforting, as if darkness itself had decided to keep me company. And in a strange way, I accepted it. I told myself that this was where I belonged now, in between hope and surrender, not fully broken, not fully alive, just existing. What I didn't know was that I wasn't walking alone. There was an angel with me, not ahead of me, not pulling me forward, not forcing me to move faster or believe harder, just walking quietly, faithfully, unnoticed. The weight in my chest had been building for years, the weight of choices I thought I had made freely, only to realize later that fear had guided most of them. The weight of words I never said, apologies delayed until it felt too late, gratitude swallowed by pride, prayers reduced to silence because I no longer believed anyone was listening. I kept moving, but every step felt like resistance. I didn't ask for help. I didn't cry out. I didn't even complain, because somewhere deep inside me, I had learned a dangerous lesson, that needing help was weakness, that faith should be quiet, that endurance mattered more than healing. The angel knew better. He stayed close during the moments I didn't notice, when my shoulders slumped after another unanswered prayer, when my breath caught at the memory of something I had lost, when I paused too long before continuing down a road that felt endless. He did not remove the weight. He waited for the moment I was ready to release it. There are seasons in life when silence feels like abandonment, when heaven seems distant, when prayers echo back unanswered, and faith begins to feel like a language you once spoke fluently but have since forgotten. I was in that season. Days blended into nights, nights into mornings. I woke up tired, not because I lacked sleep, but because rest had stopped reaching my soul. Even stillness felt loud. And then, in the middle of that familiar quiet, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. There was no thunder, no sudden light breaking through the clouds. Just a voice, not loud, not commanding, not demanding anything from me, but steady, strong enough to cut through the fog I had been living in. It didn't come from outside of me. It came from somewhere deeper, a place untouched by disappointment, a place fear hadn't reached yet. The angel leaned closer, and in that moment, something I had been carrying, something I didn't even know had a name, began to loosen. Invisible chains fell away. Not all at once, not violently. They simply released. The kind of release that doesn't draw attention but changes everything. I didn't suddenly feel happy. I didn't feel victorious, but I felt lighter. The night didn't end that day. The road didn't disappear, but darkness lost its authority. And for the first time in a long while, I sensed that I was being guided, not rushed, not judged, just guided. The angel didn't speak often. He didn't need to. His presence did the work. When doubt tried to convince me that this journey was pointless, something inside me resisted that lie. When exhaustion whispered that it would be easier to stop trying, I felt steadied, not energized, but supported. There is a difference. Strength pushes, support carries. The storms still came. Wind doesn't stop just because faith appears. Waves don't calm simply because hope returns. But when the skies turned gray, the angel remained. When everything around me felt unstable, he became something solid beneath my feet. When fear surged like rising water, he didn't remove it. He kept me above it. I crossed restless waters, not because I was strong, but because I was sustained. And the angel knew something I didn't yet understand. This road was never meant to end with him. He was only there to lead me to the one who could truly restore me. There comes a moment in every journey when you realize that healing doesn't require perfection, only openness, that you don't have to be whole to be found, that broken things are not rejected, they are rebuilt. That realization didn't arrive all at once. It unfolded slowly, gently, the way true healing always does, piece by piece, layer by layer. And at the center of it all was a presence far greater than the angel who had walked beside me. Jesus began to restore what I had buried, not just the obvious wounds, but the ones I had normalized. The places in my heart I had learned to ignore because addressing them felt too painful, too vulnerable, too late. He rebuilt me from the inside. The angel watched quietly, because his mission was never to replace Christ, only to lead me to him. When I finally looked back on the road I had walked, I no longer saw only pain. I saw moments of protection I hadn't recognized, delays that had saved me, silences that had prepared me, losses that had redirected me. I saw redemption, love that never fractured, presence that never left, grace that waited patiently until I was ready to receive it. And now, when I speak, the words don't come from habit or obligation. They rise from the deepest part of my soul. Thank you, Jesus, for restoring my heart, for lifting my spirit when I had no strength left, for giving me hope when I had accepted survival as enough. Thank you for giving me a home, not a place, but a belonging. And for sending, even when I didn't know I needed it, an angel to walk beside me until I remembered how to walk toward you. Before I ever understood that I was being protected, there were moments when danger had already passed me by. Not loudly, not dramatically, but closely. There were days when I looked back and wondered how I had survived certain seasons at all, how I had walked away from moments that, in hindsight, could have ended very differently, how paths that seemed ordinary at the time were quietly redirected without my consent or my awareness. At the time, I called it coincidence. Later, I would learn its true name. Protection is rarely announced. It doesn't always come with warning signs or visible shields. Often it arrives disguised as delay, as inconvenience, as a door that refuses to open no matter how hard you push. I remember one afternoon clearly. The sky was low and heavy, the kind of gray that presses down on everything beneath it. I had plans that day, nothing extraordinary, just another attempt to keep moving, to stay busy enough that my thoughts wouldn't catch up with me. I was late. Not because I overslept, but because everything seemed to slow down around me. Traffic lights that turned red just as I approached, a train crossing that forced me to wait longer than usual, an uneasy feeling that made me double-check things I normally wouldn't. I was frustrated. I sighed. I complained under my breath. I questioned why even small things felt resistant lately. I didn't know that just minutes ahead on the road I intended to take, something had already unfolded. Something I would only hear about later. An accident. A chain of events that changed the course of multiple lives. I never saw it. But I was never meant to. The angel had adjusted my steps, not dramatically, not visibly, but precisely. Looking back now, I understand that many of the things I once labeled as setbacks were actually interventions. Gentle hands turning my shoulders, just enough to miss what would have broken me. Quiet pauses inserted into my timeline that allowed danger to pass ahead of me instead of through me. The angel never sought credit. That is the nature of true guardianship, to act without applause, to protect without being recognized, to remain invisible so that fear doesn't take root. At the time, my heart was already fragile. I was carrying grief I hadn't named, fear I pretended not to feel, responsibilities that felt heavier than they should have. I was functional, but not whole, moving, but not truly living. The angel saw all of it. He saw how close I was to collapse, not physically, but spiritually. How easily one more blow could have pushed me beyond the edge I was already standing on. And so, protection came not as strength, but as restraint. Opportunities I thought I wanted slipped away. People I trusted revealed themselves slowly, not in one painful betrayal, but in small moments that gave me time to detach without devastation. Even words spoken to me, sharp, careless words, were softened before they reached my heart. I would hear them, but they would not wound me the way they once would have. I didn't understand why I was becoming more still, why my reactions were slower, why my anger faded quicker, why my fear didn't grip as tightly. I thought I was becoming numb. I was actually being guarded. There were nights when I lay awake replaying moments from the past, wondering what would have happened if I had chosen differently, if I had turned left instead of right, if I had trusted sooner, if I had walked away earlier. The angel stood near during those nights, not to erase the memories, but to reframe them. Because some dangers are not physical. Some dangers live in regret, in self-blame, in the slow erosion of hope that convinces you the future will only repeat the past. Those were the battles I was fighting without realizing it. And those were the battles the angel was holding back. There is a kind of protection that doesn't stop the storm. It strengthens the foundation beneath you so the storm doesn't destroy you. That kind of protection doesn't feel miraculous in the moment. It feels subtle, almost disappointing, but it saves you in ways you don't notice until much later. I began to sense that someone was standing between me and the weight I used to carry. When fear tried to spiral, it was interrupted. When despair whispered its familiar lies, they didn't stick the way they once did. The angel was not changing my circumstances. He was changing my capacity to endure them. And slowly, quietly, something remarkable happened. I stopped running. Not because the road ended, but because I no longer felt chased. I noticed details I had ignored before. The way light filtered through trees in the late afternoon. The rhythm of my own breath when I allowed myself to slow down. The peace that arrived unexpectedly during moments that should have been overwhelming. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the presence of something greater within it. That presence was becoming undeniable. The angel knew that protection alone was not enough, because protection without healing only delays the inevitable. So his guidance shifted, not away from danger, but toward restoration, toward Jesus. It was subtle at first, a thought that felt warmer than the rest. A memory of faith I thought I had outgrown. A longing I couldn't explain, not for answers, but for closeness. The angel stepped back as Christ stepped forward. Not abruptly, not forcefully, but intentionally, because angels guard, but only Jesus restores. And as I moved closer to him, I realized something profound. I had been protected long before I ever knew I was in danger. And I would continue to be, not because I deserved it, not because I was strong, but because love had assigned itself to my life long before I understood how deeply I needed it. There comes a moment in every journey when protection is no longer enough. Not because protection fails, but because the soul eventually longs for more than survival. It longs for meaning, for restoration, for a reason to believe that everything endured was not wasted. That moment arrived quietly for me. Not in a church, not during a dramatic prayer, not when life suddenly became easier. It came during an ordinary evening, the kind that usually passes unnoticed. The sky outside my window was fading from blue to grey, then to something softer, a colour that exists only for a few minutes before night fully arrives. I was tired, but not the kind of tired sleep fixes. It was the exhaustion that comes from carrying yourself for too long. I sat still, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't distract myself. No noise, no scrolling, no running from my own thoughts, just stillness. And in that stillness, I felt it. Not fear, not pressure, but an invitation. It wasn't a voice telling me what to do. It wasn't a demand to change. It was a presence asking me to come closer. This time, it wasn't the angel. This time, it was Jesus. I had felt his nearness before, but always at a distance, like someone standing at the edge of a room, waiting patiently while I pretended not to notice. Now, there was no distance, no barrier, no hesitation. I realized something then that changed everything. Jesus had been present through every step of my journey, even when I couldn't feel him, even when I doubted him, even when I walked in directions I thought had taken me too far away. The angel had walked beside me to protect me from what I couldn't see. Jesus had been within me, holding together what I didn't know was falling apart. I didn't suddenly become fearless. I didn't suddenly understand everything. But something inside me settled, the kind of peace that doesn't need explanations. I allowed myself to speak, not out loud, but from the deepest place in my heart. Not polished words, not religious phrases, just truth. I admitted how tired I was, how broken I felt, how afraid I had been to hope again. And instead of judgment, I felt compassion. Instead of correction, I felt acceptance. Jesus didn't rush my healing. He restored me the way artisans restore something fragile, slowly, intentionally, honoring every crack without pretending it was never there. I began to see myself differently, not as someone damaged beyond repair, not as someone defined by past failures, but as someone worth rebuilding. The angel remained nearby, but his role was complete. He had guided me through danger. He had steadied me through storms. Now he stood back, watching as I learned to walk not just safely, but freely. Freedom doesn't come when everything around you changes. It comes when everything within you finally aligns with truth. Days passed, then weeks. Life didn't suddenly transform into something effortless. Challenges still came, loss still existed, uncertainty still lingered at the edges of my thoughts. But something fundamental had shifted. I no longer faced those things alone. When fear surfaced, it didn't control me. When sadness returned, it didn't consume me. When doubt whispered, it no longer sounded convincing. I understood now that protection had not been temporary. It had been purposeful. Every delay, every redirection, every moment I thought was wasted, they had all led me here, to a place where my heart could finally rest. Looking back, I don't only see the pain anymore. I see the hands that held me when I didn't know how to hold myself. I see the grace that intervened without explanation. I see the angel who walked with me until I was strong enough to recognize the one who had been waiting for me all along. And now, when I speak words of gratitude, they rise naturally. Thank you, Jesus, for restoring what I had given up on, for healing the parts of me I had learned to ignore, for staying when I walked away, for protecting me before I ever knew I was in danger. Thank you for hope that doesn't depend on circumstances, for peace that survives storms, for love that never withdrew. And thank you for reminding me of who I am, not abandoned, not forgotten, not alone, but seen, protected, restored. If you are listening to this right now and something in these words feels familiar, know this. You may not see the protection around you. You may not recognize the guidance yet, but you are not walking alone. Sometimes angels walk quietly, and sometimes Jesus waits patiently. not because he is distant, but because he honors your pace. If this story spoke to your heart, take a moment to pause, reflect, and if you feel led, stay connected. Stories like this continue here on Signs of Heaven, where faith, protection, and quiet miracles meet the human journey. And remember, you don't need to be whole to be found. You only need to be willing to stop and listen.